Yeah, are you finding that people are looking for sort of essential vitamins and like immunity boosters, or are they looking for those luxury escape products, or both?
Really, our pantry section has been doing really, really well for us. And I think that that's just, we've always had a really strong place in that market. And so I think that people really trust our brand for bringing forth products that support your immune system really at all times. So the pantry items have been really, really good for us. And then also skincare has been great. But I would say pantry and grocery are the ones that are really kind of leading what people are ordering in their boxes, which makes a lot of sense. There's a lot more time spent at home, and it makes sense for what's going on in the world. And I think that we're a really trusted source for that.
Yeah, I mean, same. My skincare routine has gone over the top because I have time for the first time. But let's back up. You have this beautiful boutique. It's sort of this zen spot for the most amazing products, and like it's such a discovery and luxury element. And you have a very robust content program, which I just frankly adore. Talk to me about how long you've been in business and how you built your brand. You guys published a book, like it was a lot. I read your content literally every day.
Thank you. That means a huge amount. Well, we started 6 years ago and really tried to fill a hole in the marketplace that we were really longing for and looking for. And that was natural beauty elevated to a place that made sense for kind of a modern customer. I had been diagnosed as celiac. And when I was diagnosed as celiac, I started looking at all the other kind of habits and routines I had in addition to what it is that I was eating, and really realized that there was a big space in the market for beauty. And, I had been buying products, but I didn't want to keep buying them in the places that I was. And I wanted it to be an experience that felt really aspirational and beautiful, and also really educational. Like I wanted it to never, I think a lot of the people in the category have come at it from a place of fear. And so we tried really hard to have it a more playful orientation to beauty and what that really means beyond just like the topical definition of what beauty is, which I think is a really one-dimensional version. And for me, it's way more interesting. Like, what is it that, how are the people engaging with others? What are they eating? What are their practices that support their health on a larger scale than just how does your skin look? And I think that we were really kind of at the forefront of that way of thinking about it. And there have been a lot that have come into the market since then, and that's great because our whole mission is to have natural beauty in as many people's hands as possible. So we started in that way. Like it really was to fill something that I'm kind of I think really naturally in retail world. I had a retail store before. And when I saw that there wasn't a space for me to buy beauty products in that I wanted to shop in that was all natural and clean and healthy, decided to create it. Yeah, I mean, for me, beauty is, like I was saying, it's beyond just a very topical, kind of regimented definition of, I think, what beauty has been historically. And I think that for me, I'm more interested in how is that person living a beautiful life. And that extends to topical skincare, and that extends to the practices, and it extends to the food you eat and how you interact with your home. And all of these things really kind of make up what beauty, the definition, means to me. My business partner and I came from a background, we both worked at Martha Stewart for years, like way, way back in the day. And so our definition of beauty was kind of oriented about how it is that you live in the world, not so much just about skincare. And although skincare, like I love skincare and I love all those practices that surround it, I think it's a more multidimensional definition. And I think that that's a more interesting definition than just having to be one-dimensional about skin.
Love that. And then I think that there's a lot of like talk about what you can't eat. And what I love about CAP is it's sort of like how you're nourishing your body, herbs. Talk to me about what the next wave of that is, right? I had a chat with Rochelle. I'm very into adaptogens. What sort of, I don't want to say trends, but what sort of lifestyle modifications and things have you made so that the next wave, right? Like somebody cut out gluten, parabens. What are they look next? Where do they look next?
That's interesting. Like if we had had this conversation 3 months ago, I have been very oriented to the idea that the next wave is touch and the capacity for healing through human touch. That's really still very much how I think, but it doesn't seem as relevant in this moment in time. But I think it'll be even more relevant once we get out of our current circumstances and situations away from the situation that we're in. But I think that there is a really deep need for connection. And I think there's a really deep need for education and that human touch. Beyond that, I mean, there's all the things that I really love. I very much believe in adaptogens. We have a really, really beautiful adaptogenic line that we created called the O'Clocks, and it's there to support you through different times of the day. There's an 8 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and a 10 o'clock. And those are really great. I think meditation is really, really important, and breath work. I'm really into fermentation, and I love the idea of fermentation being used topically on the skin in addition to it being an ingestible. And yeah, I would say all of those things. I'm trying really hard not to just like attach to one thing, because I do think it's like the spectrum of all the things that we do. And it's never just one ingredient, never just one product. It's always larger than that. It's like the accumulation of all the kind of choices that you make over the course of the day that I think influence how it is you feel and look in the world.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think the community piece and the touch piece is a lot of people are struggling right now. How are you sort of looking after yourself and finding wellness when you can't go to acupuncture and you're working all the time, or, you know, things like this community? What are you relying on in quarantine?
I do a lot of Kundalini. So Kundalini has been a constant of mine for quite some time now, and I've definitely dropped deeper into my practice, and I have a more consistent practice than I have had in a long time. And that is for those who aren't familiar with it, it's really a breathwork practice. And so there are things called kriyas, and you do them for a specific amount of time. And when you do them, they're very oriented. I think they're actually very oriented towards kind of type A personalities, because it's like, you're feeling this way, do this. You're feeling this way, do this. So it's kind of targeted in terms of what it is that you're approaching and what it is you're dealing with. But Kundalini for me is really a constant, and I would say like a game changer. It's really, really fast. You can do something for 3 minutes and you'll feel a shift in your energy that's pretty profound. So that's something that I lean on a lot. I practice TM, but I haven't been as consistent with it. When quarantine started, I got really, really back into it. But to be honest, I've been really busy. Like, I don't have any staff besides Julia. Thank you, Julia, and my husband. So I've been actually quite busy. So I haven't had a lot of time to be practicing other things. I've been trying to do yoga. I've been doing a lot of the Sky Team yoga classes. And also my friend Jillian, she does a Saturday class through Kula Yoga. That's really great when I can do it. But then also resting has been important. Like, I've been trying, I was telling you before, like, I'm normally a really early riser, and I've been waking up really late and going to bed really late, and I normally go to bed really early. So I'm trying to just be like a little bit nimble and a little bit less rigid with my practices right now, and being okay with it. It's not my natural inclination to be okay with waking up super late. I don't like it. But there's something that my body is resetting right now that's asking me to do that. So I'm trying to just be a little bit more kind to myself. I think is probably one of the bigger practices as well.
I'm trying to do the same. I've been very productive, but I was like, I didn't accomplish this major thing in April. And my partner was like, I don't think anybody can accomplish a major thing during a mass pandemic. But we got a question.
There's so much pressure for it, though. I mean, I feel like this whole idea that we all have a lot of extra time is I guess we have extra time because there's a lack of commuting. But there's so much more kind of mental space and emotional space that we're trying to wade through, that I think to be all right with what's happening right now and just being okay with how it is that you're functioning in the world is honestly like one of the biggest self-care practices you can do. And I'm not saying I'm really great at it at all, but it's something I'm trying to be a little bit looser with.
Me as well. We have a question. Someone was asking your favorite Kundalini teacher or provider.
I don't know how much it is, but it's a monthly service. I also practice with Desiree Pius, and she has something called The Art of the Radiant Woman, which she does monthly, which is really great. And then I also do it on my own. Like, there's so much information on Kundalini online. Like, if you just type in having trouble sleeping Kundalini, you'll typically end up at the 3HO site, which is the Kundalini site, and you can just find all of the practices there. So it's super available, and you don't have to sign up for a monthly subscription. You don't have to pay anything. Really, all the information is online, and it was made very, very accessible by the kind of lineage has been presented. So there's a lot of information.
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
You also read quite a bit. I love the Cat Beauty content and your book recommendations. Anything that you recommend right now? I saw a post recently. What have you sort of, whether it's old and you recommend during this time, or things that are giving you comfort?
Yeah. So I love this book called Letting Go by David Hawkins, which I talked about on another live stream the other night. It's great. Very simple, really super basic, but complicated processes for letting go. But he writes it in a way that is very, very accessible, and it's great. I also love fiction, and I've been reading a fair amount of fiction, just as kind of an escapist mechanism. If you haven't read The Secret History by Donna Tartt, I tell everyone that is asking for a book recommendation to start there, because it's totally over the top. It's a crazy story of a murder at an Ivy League school in the maybe 80s or 90s. And it's like, you just drop in and like, you can't get out. I'm also reading right now The Argonauts, which I had never read. It's by Maggie Nelson, and it's a really interesting story. It's a autobiography about her being pregnant with, I might get this languaging wrong, so excuse me, but transgendered partner, and kind of what that means in their world together. And she's also just a really profound thinker and writer. And that's been really, really great. It's like a little bit more abstract than I typically like. I like a pretty solid novel, but I made myself jump into it because I know a lot of people who loved it that I respect, and I'm really enjoying it. And then lots of cookbooks. I'm always like pouring through cookbooks.
Amazing. And so anything to look forward to from the content front? Because I love that. Or if you could just tell us about where that mission comes from, because you, more than any sort of small business, I know you have this very robust educational, inspirational recipes, interviews. These are folks from your community. Where does
I mean, it's really just people that we're interested in. And I'm really the person who will just ask anyone, like, do you want to do something? Like, if I find them interesting for whatever reason, I feel like you can just ask them. And it's very, very, very rare. I don't think we've ever been turned down to have somebody say no. So I think it's just not leading with what is it that others will want right now, but really leading with how you engage with the world. Like, if I want to see somebody cook something that I'm curious about what they eat for dinner at night, I'm probably not the only person. There's probably a lot of other people out there. If I'm curious about human design, or if I'm curious about Kundalini, more than likely there's other people that are curious about it. So it's always just been, I mean, it feels a little bit selfish, to be honest, like just things that I find interesting and we find interesting as a kind of collective whole. The content has been really, really fun, and we have a lot more, excuse me, coming. So there's lots. We sent out an email today with our live streams for the next week, and there's some really good stuff in there. And then we're planning it out, and Julia and I have been working on it. Julia's amazing at like coming up with ideas and presenting, and so she's been really, really helpful.
I love the live streams, and I love everything. So we've tried to keep these to 15 minutes. How can we support you? Sign up for the newsletter on Cat Beauty, order online. How can we ensure that you're back and we're able to get facials and go shopping for all those amazing products?
Shopping right now is enormously, enormously helpful. Like, just, it feels a little gauche to say that, to be honest, but it really is incredibly helpful. And I will be there packing your box. And it's been like the most phenomenal thing to physically touch every item that's leaving and to know that it's going to somebody for some moment in their day, they're going to feel better when they interact with that product in that box. And that makes me like, it's always been the mission, is every time I've packed up a bag or a box, like I really feel full, because it's like, oh my God, they're going to feel different. Like even if for like a second, it'll impact them in a positive way. So shopping is amazing, and signing up for the newsletters, engaging with our live streams, all of it, sharing.
And then Cat Beauty Daily.
Yes.
And the last thing I will say is my favorite quote is, when you order from a small business, somebody does a happy dance and you are sort of doing that happy dance and sending it with love. So I love that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm so happy to see your face, and I hope everybody is well and healthy out there.